All right, so in this video, we'll be looking at the suborder Lacertilia. This is snakes and lizards, and the big order here is the order Squamata. This is snakes and lizards, and basically just means scaled. Most recent reptiles in evolutionary history, they share a common ancestor with Tuatara, which we looked at in the last video, and more distantly, of course, they share that ancestor with birds and crocodiles. Their skull has movable bones, which is interesting. Their upper jaw will actually move relative to the brain case, and so it can actually move around in order to fit larger prey into their mouths. I don't think I have a slide for that suborder Lacertilia. So the suborder Lacertilia is underneath Squamata, and this is lizards in particular. So a little bit about their locomotion. They have most of them are quadrupeds, meaning they have four limbs. There are some that are legless, and some can even glide or run across the water, as this basilisk is doing here to escape predation. Their senses, they have well-developed senses. Most of them have of the five senses that we're all familiar with as well, very well developed, and these vary in balance among the species depending on what they're good at, what they hunt. Uh, a lot of them can detect pheromones, and they do this by kind of lashing their tongue, which we're all familiar with. And their tongue is actually smelling the air, so to speak, or tasting the air to detect those pheromones. And this will tell them if prey is near, or predators for that matter. Um, One thing that I don't have a slide for is venom. Only a few species of lizards are venomous, and originally all lizards were venomous, all of that whole class, but most lizards have lost that over time. So a little bit about their life cycle. They have internal fertilization, oviparous, but some lizards have live birth, but most of them are oviparous. There's a five-line skink, by the way. We have those around here. And almost no parental care for these guys. Sometimes with some lizards, sex determination is temperature dependent, meaning that if the nest is at a certain temperature, the eggs will be male, and if it's below a certain temperature, they'll be female, or maybe the other way around. Either way, you get the idea. Depending on the temperature, may change the outcome of the eggs. So a little bit about behavior. Majority of these are diurnal, meaning they're active during the day, and many of them are territorial. There's a really neat video out there of these fields that have a lot of these large rocks in them, and the lizards will actually claim territory over a rock, and the rock serves as its kind of its basking area so they can get warm from the sun, and it will actually defend that little rock. So you have these lots of mini games of King of the Hill going on. And their hunting practice is the sit and wait tactic. So they're kind of like ambush predators, but not so much. They're just so still that they're able to take advantage of situations. And so they are opportunistic predators. They will eat what they can tackle and what they can fit in their mouths. Um, they usually use body postures and these really bright displays, like you see in this picture, in order to communicate with their rivals or to communicate with their mates as well. So a little bit about diet. Most of these guys are predators. There are some examples of lizards that are herbivores, marine iguanas being an example of that, some others. Komodos can hunt prey as large as this water buffalo here, and there's some Komodo dragons there. Komodos are fascinating to read about. Um, just encourage you to do more reading on them because their mouths are just gross. Lots of bacteria and venom in their mouths, and they'll bite a buffalo really bad on the leg and then just kind of follow it around until it becomes septic and dies, and then the feast begins. only about 2% of lizards are herbivorous. So they do have some anti-predator adaptations, running and climbing. Some of them have venom. Some use camouflage. Um, they have a tail. Let's see if I have a picture of this. I don't. It's something called tail autonomy. And what tail autonomy is the tail can separate from the rest of the body and it doesn't actually kill the animal, which is a good thing. And then some have this desert horn toad here. I think that's what that species is called. Will actually have something called reflexive bleeding, where they can shoot blood out of their eyes onto would-be predators.